our goals, the things we're after, whether that's money, fitness, whatever that may be, it's very similar to when you have lag in a video game. Let me explain what I mean by this. So if you've ever played an online video game, a competitive one, you have no doubt dealt with lag, which is when your internet's weak, something is fucking up at some point, and that means that when you press a key, there's a delay between the pressing and what you see on the screen. Obviously, if you've ever dealt with this makes the game experience very bad because your reactions cannot work the same way. So essentially, you press WASD or whatever key you press, and you have to wait, and then you see it on the screen. Now, the initial reaction for a lot of people is to get frustrated and you just press all the keys at the same time, and you, in a way, hoping it will solve it, but it just makes it worse because it makes it very unpredictable what's happening. You don't know if it's what key you press and what order, you know what's going to happen next. However, if you're forced to play with this lag for long enough, getting to my point here, especially if it's a consistent lag, so you kind of can predict this delay, you can play around it, just not in the same way. So you can rely on your reaction time and these very instant things, but you can play around. You can see the patterns of the other player. You can see what's happening. You can see in 1 second, I think this is going to happen, so I'm going to put the input before it. And obviously it's harder, but if you play with it long enough, as unfortunately I've had to play when I was younger, you a lot of times can even beat players that in theory should be able to beat you because they have that reaction time going in their favor. This same concept here of you press a key and it takes a long time or some time to see the reaction is the same thing I believe that is happening for goals. What I mean by that is not between you doing something or thinking about doing something, that thing happening, but instead between you doing something and seeing a reaction of the world before what you do. And what I mean by this is, let's take an example. You start a business today and you're going to do YouTube videos for it. If you do that today and you put a video, the reaction in 99.9 cases of these videos is going to be no one cares. You're going to have 5 to 20 views, perhaps like this video is going to have, and it will seem as if no one cares. As if people clicked and they kind of made a mistake and they didn't even watch and no one cares. And it's easy to assume in these moments that the reaction for your action was indifference. But I believe we're wrong when we think about that. And I even believe we're wrong when we think that we just have to do it for a long time and then people will care about this one decision and it will be like, I put this one video and the reaction is good. I believe that's wrong. I believe what happens is that the reaction of the world just has, a lot of times, a big lag between action and reaction, especially in the beginning. And so what happens, especially if you are able, in the few cases that you are able to continue and then see a good reaction for it, I do believe you're not seeing the good reaction for what you just did now, but what you did in the past a lot of times. So it's not like a direct thing. It's like sometimes people assume, let's say if you've been on a new diet for a long time and you're being healthier and healthier, and it can almost seem as if like, oh, now the meal of today that was healthy is it's making me feel great right now. But that is not the case, because sometimes you can have that, you just have a Big Mac and you still feel great that day. It doesn't mean it's not direct like that. A lot of times it's all the effort that you put in the past, and it's not even that it culminated in this, but that now you're just seeing the reaction for things that you've done already in the past. If you think about it, when you take a medicine, let's say some new supplements that were great, and let's say you start taking them today and in 2 weeks you feel great, it's not that the pill of that day made you feel great, but it was this whole process. It was the reaction to something that happened 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago that's now only being felt. And I do believe it is the same thing here for goals. Now then the problem here becomes, the first problem, there's many problems with this, but the first problem, the first question is, one might ask, how long do I have to wait? If I do the video today or the workout today or all this, how long do I have to wait? Although even in this first problem, we cannot think about it this way. Because if I think about waiting, then I'm going to do something and wait. But I can't, as I wait for the result, I can't allow momentum to be broken, especially if it hasn't even started, and to just sit around. So it has to be I'm doing things. I know a reaction is going to come, but I'm not just sitting around waiting and just watching the birds fly by. I continue putting the effort, because in a lot of ways, this is why things, as soon as they start getting better, they start feeling better and better and better, because then it's like, if you've been putting the good efforts, the reactions start catching up with it. Of course, you're going to see all of that. You're going to see the reaction of the world, and it starts feeling better and better and better because it's catching up with the consistency you've been having and the momentum you've been building. Of course, obviously there's a lot of details here. You can't stop, you have to keep going with it. Even a lot of things I can't fully explain here, no one can. But I do believe it's more of that is happening than it's just everything building up to this point where then you change. Because change doesn't happen like that. We don't change from one day to the other, from one moment to the next. It's just that the reaction of the world has this delay around it. Now that is obviously the first problem here, which is how long do I have to wait? And it's not so much about waiting. But then the second thing I'm going to put here is that we are not robots. So it would be hard if I tell you like, oh, just keep doing this effort for the next 2 years as you see no results, and it would be unreasonable to expect that anyone could do that. Because in a lot of ways, there's a part of us that believes we can get to the goal, but there's also perhaps even a bigger part that has doubts and that is waiting for the world to validate the efforts we are putting in. And here's when I want to present my argument of what we should be doing. And that is not to be doing things and waiting until we get to the goal and then we're validated and we can act in a different way, but it is to begin right now acting as if you are already there. Because if I tell you, and even if I ask myself, and as I was thinking about this, so the main thing for me now is YouTube. So it's going to be this channel and the passive meaning one, the main one. And if I ask myself, okay, if I was already at the goal I'm thinking here, whatever, 100,000 views per video, whatever that may be, would I act the same way I'm acting now? And I'm going to be forced to answer that no. I would be more serious about it. I would plan the ideas better. Perhaps I would edit better. I would take more pleasure in the work. I would dedicate myself more to it because I would know that there would be a positive reaction from the world, at least more positive than it is right now. And because I would take it more serious and work at it with much more effort and care and love and all of that, then the reaction of the world would be better. So here, it's not so much going to the problem we're just introduced. It's not so much about how long do I wait until I get there, but it is more about how do I now act as if I was already there. Because I know that if I act as if I was already there, I'm going to take it more serious, I'm going to do it better, and then obviously this moment is going to come faster and it will be much more likely to come. And then the other part, perhaps even more important here, is that if I knew or if I'm already at that point, think like, let's say now you blink and you're already at the point that you want to be, with your money, with your career, with your fitness, whatever that may be, and you wake up tomorrow and you do the things, even if the reaction of the world would not be the best, it would never even enter your mind the question of, should I continue or not? You just be like, how do I improve for next time? How do I do the next video better, the next workout, the next product launch, whatever it may be? You would be thinking about, how do I make it better, and not about, do I continue or not? Because you would have that validation of the world. And this leads us to the second problem, the second question here, which is, if what I'm saying is true, and I think you can understand what I'm saying and that you would have better results, so then the question becomes, how can I take more serious what I'm doing with my actions and my efforts so that when the reaction of the world comes, it is better? How can I do that simultaneously as not taking things as serious and as needing this validation as much and as looking externally to be validated? Because it is a very difficult question to answer, because in theory it's fine. I would just tell you, oh, act more serious and be detached from it. But what if you really want the goal? Which perhaps you do, a lot of people do. You really want that. You don't like how life is right now, and I want that. And I want to put effort in and I want to do these things because I want to get to that goal. And I can't give this up right now because it's hard to just tell someone, give it up, give up the need and give it up. Ideally, I would tell you and you'd do that, but we can't do that. A lot of times we don't want to do that. And I do, in my life experience, the only real way to get to it is really to allow yourself to get to the lowest point first. That's the first thing. That moment when you really are questioning, let's say I put a video, no one cares, and I put so much effort, as it happened in the last video, past meeting, and no one cares, and I feel like I'm just doing this for wasting my time and my effort. Why bother? Why continue? And you're really at that lowest point considering that. The one option you have there is you give up, you quit, and you allow the reaction of the world before your efforts to be, you're not good enough, we don't care about this, stop doing it. That's the first thing. The second thing, what we should do here is get to that moment, and instead of giving up, you really have to just say, fuck it. Fuck it in the sense of you have to fully embrace the potential consequences, catastrophic or not, for fully committing to this. And you really have to, in your mind, just say like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of not having the results I want. I'm all in. I'll go broke. I'll look like a clown. I'll die potentially if need be, but I'm here to the end. It's either this or nothing else. And I'm here fully committed for life. This is the only thing I'm going to do. Even if I have to become a homeless man doing this, I will do this, whatever that is. And what happens then? When one in your soul, and this cannot be tricked, and I don't know exactly why that is, if it's the universe, if it's God, I don't know exactly. But what happens once one can truly say that to himself, that I'm all in, and I'll put everything I have into this if need be, is that all of a sudden, it's almost as if that lag disappears and the world tells you like, all right, here you go, you're ready. You are now ready for the thing you want. Because you're ready to take it serious. You're ready to actually be professional about it and do things how you should. And so everything you're doing right now, if you're not at that point yet, should just be waiting, it should be just getting you to that point. And when you reach that point of desperation, of like, nothing's going as I want, be grateful. You are, and I'm gonna put here the Avatar quote because I can't remember it from my memory, but it's something along the lines of, when we reach our lowest point, we're ready for the biggest of transformations. And you have to get there to a certain extent. And if you do get there, when you get there, you will get there if you try long enough, be grateful. Because realize that no matter how bad it feels, you are now ready. If you are ready, if you get what I mean. If you're ready to fully commit, this is the point. And if not, then it was never meant for you. But allow yourself to reach that point, and then you gotta have the balls to just do it. Because once you fully commit in your heart, you will be rewarded for it, and you will get the things that you want. But you have to commit because, and this is dragging a bit more than I'd like, but because when you fully commit, when one fully commits, it implies that you have belief and that you believe it will happen. And just how a placebo works when you believe it will work, so here is the same.